All right, so today we're getting our hands sticky diving into the world of sugar refinery operators.
Ooh, good one. And it's a career path more people are asking about. Skilled trades are really having a moment.
Totally. It seems like everyone wants something hands-on these days, and let's face it, everyone loves sugar. Speaking of which, I gotta say, some of the stuff we found about how they make sugar these days blew my mind. Cornstarch. Seriously.
Right. You wouldn't believe the science happening in these refineries. It's not all about sugarcane anymore. They use this process called corn wet milling, extracting starch from corn. Then get this, they actually convert it into sugar.
Hold on, so the sugar in my pantry could be from corn. That's
Yeah.
wild. I always pictured, like, giant vats of sugarcane juice, slowly bubbling away.
Oh, they've got those too. Huge evaporators, boiling that sugarcane juice or corn syrup down until it gets thick enough to crystallize. That's where the real magic happens.
So it sounds like these sugar refinery operators aren't just pushing buttons, they're like overseeing this whole intricate process.
It's a bit like conducting an orchestra, honestly. You've got all these different stages, all this specialized equipment, evaporators, crystallizers, centrifuges, and the operator's job is to make sure everything works together in harmony.
I love that analogy. But let's be real, even the best orchestra has its off days. Our sources mention some pretty demanding working conditions. What should people be prepared for?
Yeah, you got to be ready to work, that's for sure. These refineries can get pretty intense, hot, noisy. You're working around heavy machinery all day long. Safety is paramount. Those public safety and security skills we were talking about, they're non-negotiable in this line of work.
Makes sense. I imagine one wrong move with the centrifuge could really ruin your day.
Exactly. There's a reason those safety protocols exist, and those protective gear requirements are no joke. This is a job where you got to stay focused.
So, not a job for the faint of heart, or anyone who melts under pressure, pun intended. But we also saw something about high earning potential. Spill the tea. Just how sweet are those paychecks?
Let's just say you won't be hurting for sugar. Seriously, though, it's a skilled trade, and those skills are in demand. Our research showed a steady job growth rate, something like 2% projected from 2019 to 2029. So yeah, the paychecks can be pretty sweet.
Music to my ears. Okay, but how does one even break into this whole sugar biz? I'm picturing some intense science degree. Do you need to be a full-on chemist to get your foot in the door?
Well, a little chemistry knowledge never hurts, but honestly, you might be surprised. A lot of times, a high school diploma can be enough to get started in an entry-level position. Of course, if you're looking to move up the ranks, further education is definitely going to give you an edge.
So there's room to grow, even without a bunch of fancy degrees right off the bat. What kind of education are we talking about for those higher level roles?
It's a pretty diverse field, actually. You see the usual suspects of chemical engineering, food science. Those make sense, right? But get this business administration popped up, too.
Whoa, business administration. Now that's a curveball. What does business have to do with sugar refining?
Well, when you think about it, these are big operations, right? Lots of moving parts, literally. So as you climb the ladder, you're not just overseeing the sugar making process, you're managing people, budgets, the whole shebang.
Ah, so you could go from sugar scientist to sugar CEO. I kind of like the sound of that. Speaking of climbing that ladder, how does that work exactly? Is there like a sugar refinery operator career path laid out somewhere?
You got it. Think of it like steps. You might start as an assistant operator, learning the ropes from the more experienced folks, getting comfortable with the equipment. As you gain experience, you might become a senior operator, overseeing a team, solving problems, making sure the sugar's top-notch.
Quality control, very important. So what's after senior operator? What's at the tippy top of this sugar mountain?
Well, from there, you can move into supervisory or management roles, overseeing the whole production process, managing those budgets we talked about, maybe even developing new strategies for making the whole operation even more efficient.
So you're not just making sugar, you're innovating the whole process. Cool, but let's be real. Not everyone's cut out for this kind of work. What kind of person actually thrives in a sugar refinery? What's their secret ingredient?
You got to be someone who can handle the heat, literally. These refineries are fast-paced, demanding environments. You need to think on your feet, solve problems as they come up, and definitely not be afraid of a little hard work. Our research highlighted detail-oriented people, those who are observant and can spot anything out of place.
Basically, you're a sugar detective. You got to stay sharp and be on the lookout for any inconsistencies. Speaking of which, we saw something about specific skills being important, like HACCP. What is that all about?
Oh yeah, HACCP. It stands for Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Points. It's a whole system used globally to ensure food safety. In a sugar refinery, it means identifying anything that could be risky, putting controls in place to prevent problems, and, this is important, keeping super detailed records. Having a HACCP certification, that shows employers you're serious about safety and quality.
Because nothing ruins your morning coffee like a bad batch of sugar. We also came across the term certified sugar technologist. That sounds impressive. Fill us in.
That's like the gold standard, you know? The sugar expert. It's a certification for those who really know their stuff, from the raw materials all the way to the finished product. Sugar chemistry, processing techniques, quality control, you name it, they've mastered it.
Wow, that's next level. So it's not just about the physical work, there's a ton of technical expertise involved too.
Yes.
Sounds like lifelong learning is crucial in this field.
Totally. This industry never sits still. New technology, new regulations, consumer demands changing all the time. You got to stay curious, read those industry publications, attend conferences, always be ready to learn something new.
Makes sense. Got to keep up with the times, especially with all these fancy new types of sugar popping up these days.
Huh.
Which reminds me, one source mentioned this growing trend of specialty sugars. What's the deal with that?
Think of it like the craft beer boom, but with sugar. People are getting more adventurous with their taste buds, looking for unique flavors and ingredients, and that includes their sweeteners. Suddenly everyone's talking about coconut sugar, date sugar, even the stuff called muscovado sugar. Apparently it's got this rich molasses flavor. Sounds delicious.
So it's not just your plain old white sugar anymore. There's a whole world of sugar out there I didn't even know existed. Which makes me wonder, does this mean we'll need, like, sugar sommeliers in the future? I'm picturing it now, the sugar sommelier, with the white coat, holding up a spoonful of sugar, analyzing the color, the texture, maybe even suggesting pairings for desserts. Okay, maybe that's a little out there, but seriously, could this specialty sugar thing actually change the skills needed to be a sugar refinery operator?
It's definitely possible. As consumers get more and more into these unique flavors, refineries might need to step up their game. New equipment, different processes, got to keep up with those taste buds.
So it's not just about refining any old sugar anymore. You're telling me there's, like, a whole art to this now.
That's what it's sounding like. Think about it. Coconut sugar, date sugar, they probably need their own special treatment to get that flavor just right. These sugar refinery operators might need extra training, really understanding the ins and outs of each type of sugar.
So you're saying those sugar sommeliers might not be too far off after all? But jokes aside, it seems like this field is always changing. That's got to be exciting.
For sure, this isn't some stagnant industry. It's dynamic, it's evolving. You've got to be on your toes. And for sugar refinery operators, that means being adaptable, always willing to learn new things.
Love that. So to wrap this all up, a career as a sugar refinery operator, it's a cool mix of technical know-how, hands-on work, and let's be honest, you're part of an industry everyone loves. Plus, there's room to grow, maybe even specialize as this whole sugar scene evolves.
Absolutely. And you're making something tangible, something people enjoy. Plus, as we've learned today, it's way more complex and interesting than most people realize.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's been a sweet journey, going beyond the sugar bowl and seeing what it takes to make that happen. So for anyone out there who likes to roll up their sleeves, values job security, and isn't afraid of a little heat, this could be the career for you. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of sugar refinery operators. Until next time, stay curious.